Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript party. I had to leave my buddy Rhett in the living room because we got a house full of dogs right now. Because I am a grandpa and my son's dogs are at the house and they have two very highly energetic dogs and they're um, just a handful. And so we can't, sort of all of our routines are a bit on hold at the moment. But the concept of bringing the birds will live a long time. They'll live like 80 years, like that's not uncommon, but they're insanely fragile at the same time. They're kind of a incredible, like it's actually incredible that any of them live to 80 years because it really doesn't take much to hurt them, and and they don't really show when they're hurt. So like, and they don't really heal, um to be if you're being completely honest. So you have to be sort of like they'll live a long time if you take care of them, but you have to be careful with them too. So it's kind of a interesting sort of, kind of the opposite of a dog. Like no matter how well you take care of it, it's only going to live, between at the top end like 20 years. Um, but while they're alive, they can endure and they can handle tons and tons of stuff. Um, Birds can live like 80 years, but they can't endure nearly as much as a dog could endure. It's a weird, interesting thing to think about. Anyways, so we are have a really cool little task. It's one of the probably the first sort of small close-ended task that has come along. If I was like if this was a professional application and I was a lead, this would be a perfect task to give like a new um, junior developer that's brand new, because um, it's going to let you explore all kinds of different things. But basically, to start with, the problem is see, I have this um, thing and this icon here, and it indicates that we are looking at the grid, which means that if we were in grid mode, that means if we do this, we're going to see this. But then we could click this button, and now we're in list mode. And so it looks like this, so that's why there's a little list here. But if you click on one of these, it shows that you're in grid mode, but really we're in detail mode. So it really should be like one big dot, one big square. Um, but um, it's not. And really, it should know that it should be one square based on the route. The route is what should drive that. If I remember, if that's how I believe that's how I architected it. Um, so, like I said, this would be a great entry level sort of like someone who knows how to code, but they aren't maybe fully familiar with Angular, and this would give them all kinds of interesting things to explore. The way I would perceive it normally going like sometimes I've never been the lead, but there have been times I've been sort of thrust into the lead role, and normally this is the kind of task that I want to give them. And then what I would typically do is sort of just explain, like I just did here, what the task is, and then um, sort of let them spend like an hour or two trying to just fumble around and just let them just see what happens. And sometimes they'll surprise you. Like I don't see that I've given enough information for a new person, especially if they didn't know Angular, to actually be able to do the job. And I would tell them that. I was like, I don't think I've given you enough information for you to be able to do this job, but I would like you to explore this and understand try your best you can to understand what's going on, so click around and just see if you can figure out what is happening, and sort of let them do that for like an hour to 2 hours, and then swing around and just have a conversation with them and answer any questions they have and all that, and then sort of either help them move a little farther in their journey, or if they're on a good solid path, because there's a million paths. If they're on a good solid path, let them just do their thing. But so since I don't have a junior developer to give this to, I'm going to do it myself. I'll do it my own self. And the first step that I always do when I do a journey like this would be I would go to the packages folder file. And since I already had one up in the tab, I'll go to this. But this is my, I believe this is the view for like if you would have, if you were doing a comparison. But there's nothing to compare. See how we have two sets of lines. So we have a view up that doesn't make any sense at all. And so when you're in this view, you can click this detail button and you can go to the actual, and then you can close it. Close others. So now the only thing that's open is my package. I could see where I am up here. I do have tons and tons of other folders open. So let's go ahead and close everything else. Basically, we're trying to just get rid of any mental clutter, um, any distractions to just make things more difficult to sort of reason about. I don't want to be reasoned about anything other than what I want to reason about. So that's step one. And now step two would be to like right click on this. Like I said, there's a million ways you could do that. But what I'm looking for is the parent component. So I'm going to do this inspector and I'm going to pop it into its own window. That is Pebbles. That's one of my son's Staffordshire Terrier. The most amazing dog. Like, you should look it up. They're like little mini pit bulls, but they have the absolute sweetest, just the sweetest disposition. And they just don't want anything more than just to make you happy. That is like their only role in life, it seems like, is to make you happy. So that's what that was. So it looks like this is in something called app layout menu. You can kind of tell because when I mouse over here, that completely gets surrounded. So the next step for me is always, and like I said, this is just me. I'm sure there's literally an infinite number of ways to do this. But next step for me is to copy that. I always double click on that and it will, I get it to copy either. Sometimes when you just double click on it, it'll select the whole thing, and then Control C, and then come over here into the search, and then Control V. And so you see that we do have some Cypress things, and it does make me, like, when I see this, I think to myself, oh, okay, I probably should, app layout menu probably should have a Cypress data attribute instead of going after the menu item itself. But maybe not. I don't know. I'm still learning Cypress. Man, I'll tell you, I set up a new Cypress for work, and I just, because the modern developer, the problem is that it used to be that if you worked at a place, the norm would be like you have one application and 10 developers or 20 developers, or two applications and two teams of 10 developers. Today, it's more like 4 developers and 30 applications. And so the whole challenge has changed, because before what you had to do is just get this crazy in-depth understanding every nook and cranny of the code that you're working on. And today, it's more like, okay, work on something, and then work on something else, and then work on something else, and then months later come back to that first thing that you're working on, and move it, shepherd it along the path, because it used to be like you'd write code and that code would just become part of the build. But now there's like all kinds of things that have to happen before something becomes part of the build, all kinds of approvals and all that, and not everybody has time to look at everything on your schedule. So that means you have to sort of toggle around and work on and understand a bunch of stuff. And I have found this end-to-end testing to be probably one of the very best ways of, like, you get your work done and you're working on it, and everything, you seem to understand it inside and out. You feel good about it. but now you're gonna have to go work on something else. If you have end-to-end tests that do what you thought, what you believe your code should do, and you have that documented in end-to-end tests, it is so easy to come up to speed because you just push the button, you go, oh, okay, that reminds me, okay. Um, so I am like, there's just not a day that goes by that I'm just not more, I don't find a better reason to have end-to-end tests. All right, so now it looks like in our app component, we actually use this layout. And then it looks like we have, an app component, it looks like we import the layout. And then we have our app menu layout component. And this is the TypeScript. So we see selector, colon, and that. Now, not all places have selectors. Sometimes if they're doing routing, sometimes all they have is the class name, and there is actually no selector. I don't believe, I don't know if selectors are required field in this. So I'm going to click on this, and I don't know in this decorator or this variable that you pass into this decorator function if selectors required. I guess I could remove this and see. Yeah, see, it doesn't look like selectors required. So sometimes you'll just have this class name. So you can't always count on the selector to be there, but 99 times out of 100 it is. All right, so now I'm here and I want to leave this view, which is my search view, and go into this view. And then I want to right click and close others. All right, so now I think we know, and what I'll typically do is I'll write some kind of, like, do something to sort of indicate, to know that I'm here, so I don't know what happens if I do this, but it's always a good idea. I mean, I've always found it to be interesting to try something like that, see what you end up with. So you can't see it. You can't see the hello I just added. So, but I'm going to inspect to see if I can find it. Okay, and there's our hello in the code. And see there, the reason you can't see it is because it's sitting over here in front of the button, which I think that all tracks. That makes sense. So, okay, so now, I guess it's not bad. I was thinking that I had a turn area up here, but it looks like I have two choices. So I do this router link thing, which this is the ternary, and there's only two places, so the ternary still works. So basically we store the layout. If the layout is equal to custom, then we make it tabular. So we push this to tabular. And if the layout, otherwise we push it to custom. There's still only two places we get pushed to from this. We don't ever get pushed to the editor from here. The only way you can get to the editor is through clicking on an item. But once you're here, when you click on this, it's going to push you to the tabular, which is a bit weird, right? Because, well, so we have another layout, basically, it looks like, and we're going to have to, our other layout is going to be update. So that is our update layout. Now, and this is very, very typical. In code, we tend to kind of bounce back and forth in the code from the word update to edit and edit to update. I'm trying to kind of lean into update, but I do know that I have some places that I call things edit, so I'm not sure. But we want, so this is an else, right? So if it's not, then it's going to go to custom. So if our layout was in fact so let's do that. Actually, let's see what our layout is now that we're in the edit mode. Put my cap locks on. Uh-oh, I don't have my power on. Panic. Panic at the disco. There we go. And we're back. Disaster averted. Okay, so we want to see our layout. And we can't see it because it is black. So if we put this in a span, because I think we might end up looking at. So I think, okay, so, and I just literally thought of this just now. I believe that if I create a new layout and I call it update, and then I add another if here that says if update, then show the a different mat icon. So, because like, I guess that, yeah. So we're gonna want, okay. So the idea is right now, and we just made this up. You know, it just sort of organically got here. Um, the idea is that it shows you your current state. So we want it to show the current state. And then we also, I think we want it to be in custom if when you click on it. So, and I think that the code as is will just work. If we created a new state called update, and I think that the layout is strongly typed, so we'll have to add a typing for update. So this is such a nice little treat of a bug, because it just affords the developer a lot of things to explore. I feel like it's kind of like a good one point sort of task, but cognitively it's like a 8-pointer. Like you can learn so much from it, but like actual coding, it's probably like a 1-pointer. And if someone really knows what they're doing, they could snap this out in 2 seconds. But like a junior developer could spend a whole week studying. If they're a highly curious individual, could spend a whole week studying and be like, and be so much better off for it, and be so much better of a developer because they spent the time on that. Okay, so this is our layout is custom. So my goal is to add a new one. I wonder if this is going to break, and we're going to call it update. I don't know if we have strong typing that'll break this. And I don't, so this is our table update icon, and see it's catching that update's not a legal type. And then I want to ask ChatGPT which mat icon I should use. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. It looks like they have a new version, which I was using yesterday, and it was smooth. I mean, it felt really good. But I definitely had a good prompt. Like I was really well. I'd been working on the prompt for a while, but Angular material, and use 2 icons, comma. I guess I'll put in parentheses apps. Icon and table rows. Oops, apps, icon, and table row. Score rows. I would like to use a third that would be 1 square. See if that's enough information. That's definitely not enough information for a human. I mean, for a human being. But it did feel like that would be enough information for ChatGPT. Now, oh, stop. What is this? Okay, I don't want an outline square. Just stop, I think is what I want. Solid filled square. And checkbox, okay. So I think this is what I want. Stop. Stop. I do think that maybe one risk, though, of doing this is to get to where, like, you get in the habit of talking to ChatGPT, and then and not giving enough information for other human beings to sort of understand what you're doing. It says crop square. Chrome said it'll be visually well. So it's saying that this is the visually consistent one, which was the first one that it offered, but it's an outline. Well, so the other three. Well, okay, let's just see what crop square looks like. Okay, so I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to comment this out. And then I'm going to come over here, because this is the one that we're showing. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. Show the squares filled in. Inconsistent. And I don't know, this is more of a question than a statement, which seems inconsistent. Gotcha. Yeah. So you put which is outline. Yeah, stop. So let's try stop. Stop. I say stop. Halt. Yeah, I feel like that is so much better. All right. So now we'll just Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Change this to a stop. Stop that. And now let's try to get this thing compiling right again. So it is upset, and it's actually telling me, yeah, it's not really telling me. It's not useful. You are not being useful, sir. But yeah, layout type is what we need to go to. So we see that we have the error. It says comparison because layout type and update have no overlap. So that's interesting because I've always couldn't quite understand what they meant by no overlap. And now I think it's clear that overlap means that it's in there. It's in there. Layout type. So we want to go here. I think the easiest way would be to say go to definition and then just add our and what's to me the most important part about this, the thing that makes this very, very useful is that if someone were to come in and decide, oh, I need an edit, like they're working on something else, you would very quickly see, oh, wait, there's something called update. So I think that's pretty nice. All right, so now we've got that. And now at this point, we want it to show, we want it to be a layout type of update if we are in this. Handle route events, router subscription. Oh yeah. See, this is just good living right here. I put a lot of thought into it when I did it apparently. And now everything just slides right in. This could have easily been a ternary. and then this would not be nearly as easy to get rolling. Um, but I can't even tell you how many places I've worked with where they have um, a ternary, or where they make you put a ternary in there, and then all suddenly, like a month later, there's a new thing, and then you're like, crap, I've got to figure out everywhere. And they use ternaries everywhere. So then they're like, oh, I got to figure out. Okay, so now when we're in this mode, we have update, and if we click it, it should take us to the grid. Yeah, and it looks like it did. Let's just use this thing. Update grid. I think that is the right thing. Maybe it should go to table, tabular, since that's where you're at. I don't think so, though, because I think once you go back to updating, then, because this isn't really a grid, this is custom, and these will all be laid out in different places. So if you're like, oh, I wanted to work on this one here, then you would come over here, you'd say update. And honestly, we are probably going to end up adding a way, like double click to get to update. And I think that would be pretty easy to implement. That would be a good bug for simple, more junior sort of bug to do in the future is, hey, when we are in this view, when you double click it, it should take you to update and then the number. Um, so, and I think the way I'm doing it is it actually does, in fact. Did we? I don't know what happened there. I don't remember. I can't remember if we had lost, like if I made a change and we lost it. Maybe when we manually. I don't think so. So I hit, like, I'm going to update this one. Yeah, so that was update 20. That's 28. Now when I come here, do I lose them? No, okay. Whew. All right, so that is working. I believe that bug is fixed. If I gave that, like, if there was just like let's say there was some new guy, he'd gone to a boot camp, he kind of knows React, he knows web, he's been coding, and yeah, he was one of these guys that enjoyed building web pages and stuff like that, and he's kind of new to the enterprise, and he's kind of new to Git and all that. I would expect that to take an entire sprint, like, because I would hope that it would take an entire sprint, because it's like there's so many things to explore and so many things to understand with TypeScript and so many different things, and everything is very straightforward at that point. So that would just be such a good thing for a new developer to spend time on. And then, of course, after, you would not want someone taking that kind of time in the future, like as they grow. Okay, where is custom coming from now? Did I just not save? Okay, so I guess I didn't save. Um, I wonder if that's why things got so weird, is because it like keeps it. Oh no, it kept the state. You see how you just toggle back and forth, but then if you click in here, that, I know that I made that look so simple, but that is only simple because of a very well thought out architecture. I just put a lot of time. I'm not trying to toot my horn. What I'm trying to do is justify how long this thing is getting set up, because when I'm done, what I want is to be able to say, hey, I'm double clicked on this and I'm doing all these. I've decided I want to add a new type, or I want to add a new material or a new color or something like that. And setting that up, I want that to be that easy when I'm coding in the future. I don't want it to be like, oh man, we're doing all this rewrite and all the, I want it to just work just like that. Where it's like, oh, okay, and this is where you add this, okay, and this is where you add that, and blah, 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 blah. And everything works perfect. That is the goal. Now, I think this is a great place to do a um, a uh, a unit test. I mean, a commit. But I do have the rule that I don't want to do commit without full unit test code coverage and full um, and end-to-end testing to capture these things. Because while this is neat, right? Like you click this and you click this, in 2 weeks I could easily be like, now what is that thing supposed to do? So adding so having end-to-end tests will make it so much easier for me to come up to speed in 2 weeks. Um, so anyways, and then so the very next thing I'm going to work on is actually bringing in the nine visualization and showing it here fully stretched out. And I really don't know what sort of challenges are going to come from that. Um, but let's take care of this first. So that makes sense. I've deleted 2 extra lines up there. I don't think I need those 2 lines. That makes sense. That makes sense. And that makes sense. All right, so let's just at least get through unit tests today. How long are we in? See, we're only 30 minutes in. npm run test. So that is how I run my unit tests. And that's only because in the packages, I'm just killing time now because it takes forever for the unit test to come up. In the package up here, we have test. And I did add this watch so that it would, anytime you make changes to the unit tests or the code, it automatically reruns. And I added this code coverage so that it fills out this coverage. It creates this index.html, which now I can come over here and I can drag this on here. And this is the old one, so and see, we have 100%. We should lose a branch, I think, and a couple of statements. Probably one statement and one branch, because I don't think this is being tested. So we should still be 100% on functions. And I don't know if this counts as 1 or 2 lines. That'll be interesting to see. So it's either going to be 542 of 543, 70 of 71 branches, or 542 of 544. But it is still building. It's very, very slow. But yeah. Yeah, Cypress is one of those things that I'm just full of regret now, not that I haven't been just hard pushing Cypress and working on Cypress um, for um, the last 5 years. Now, when I was working back at a company called Randstad, which I don't know what year that was. I would have to go to my LinkedIn and see what year that was. But I want to say that was like 2018, 2019. I actually was reached out to by a recruiter to interview for a position with Cypress. And I couldn't get past the recruiter to get to the interview. So I don't know, so I guess I kind of had a little bit of a negative sort of feelings towards it. So all of our unit tests are passed. I don't think we're going to have to add a new test. We have 90 tests. But let me hit reload and see. Yep, so it's 542. So that counts as 2 statements. Oh, for some reason we're missing out on 2 branches. I thought there'd just be 1 branch. So here's the trouble. And man, we got a D. We got a D in for branches. And we got that. So this is interesting. That I don't know why this would be 2 branches. That doesn't make any sense. But it looks like I already have a test for this set layout. And this looks like it's just going to be the easiest test to update. Um, Now this should sort of, if you've done a lot of worked in a lot of places where you do a lot of static code analysis, this is getting to be a little bit dangerous here, just because there's a thing called, I think it's called cyclical something, I can't remember what it's called, but complexity, cyclical complexity, something like that. And when you get a bunch of these in here, that score goes up, and usually you're not allowed to have a very high score on cyclical complexity, because this is sort of a sign that the code is going to become unmaintainable. You might end up with like 100 different else if, else if, else if. Now if I have to guess, I'm guessing we're only going to have 1 to 2 more icons up here. I think, but probably only 1 more. I think I'm guessing that at some point I'm going to want to be able to have 2 things editing at the same time, so that I can watch what happens to 2 of them at the same time. Then it wouldn't surprise me also if I would want to have like all of them kind of showing up here, and then me making changes up here, like down here of it, so that wouldn't surprise me. Who knows where this is going to go, but I think that now that the more I think about it, I think there might be 1 more of these, and that's it. So I think that's pretty safe. All right, so let's go to our spec. Handle route event custom tabular. That was interesting. I don't remember doing this, but it looks like we want to go probably from tabular to unit to update. And I don't know. I meant tabular to update. And I'm really trying hard to continually so this definitely could have this could be tested a lot easier than this, but let's just go with it. Like I said, there's like so many ways to do these things. My wife's been leaving the living room drapes closed, and we feed feral cats. I forgot to feed them this morning. We feed feral cats out there, so they kind of hang out in the front, and then the dogs love to bark at them, and they behave a lot better. Like, yes, it's annoying that they bark at them, but they behave a lot better. Okay, so let's see if these tests pass. I don't even know. See, this is like... Yep, so now we're back up to 100%. I guess it's because it's doing whatever this is causing it to prove. Now this would likely, depending on what this does, I do not know how long they will do that for. But depending on what happens, this could end up being like this could break in the future. I could totally see this breaking because we don't have an ID. I mean, we could add one, but then it would be an ID that doesn't work. But I guess that is a little bit closer to what it's actually going to run into. And I guess that does test that nothing in just naturally is broken. I don't want it. I think that's going to be a problem, right? Like in the future, if this thing starts carrying like I want this component to be dumb. I don't want it to care anything about the ID. Like I just wanted to say, okay, which icon am I supposed to display, and that's it. But that is that. Let's see, we are at 40 minutes. I guess I should also do the. This would be a great time to do the end-to-end tests, and that takes forever to run. You know, run Cypress open, and again, that is only because it's set up in the packages folder. So I am going to close this up, open my Cypress up. I'm going to go to I believe it's in here. Oh, okay, so I already have this. So this might actually already be, I guess we want to just add one more test, and that's that it's the right icon. I think that makes sense. So basically, right now we already have an edit. So what we want is for the update viz button. Basically, we want to be able to find that icon. And it looks like I already have like a special locator data attribute. Okay, we're going to start our end-to-end testing. And I guess at this point we do have to, would be irresponsible not to run all the unit tests, all the end-to-end tests to make sure they still work. I will be astonished if the end-to-end tests don't all pass, though. But we do need to update this edit end-to-end test. Guys, stop it. Okay, so that one passed. This one passed. This one passed. This one passed. So this is the resize one. This is the one that checks to see if everything, like if it resets itself on resize, and then it's just so easy in these new applications to just forget. For everyone, literally everyone, you could be on a team of 100 people and no one has any idea how that used to work. And then someone goes, oh, I think I have an old video. Let me go look. You know, it's just the reality of things. Like I remember my last job, there was all of their QA people were amazing. Like it was by far the best QA I've ever worked with. I probably need to add another one to routing as well. Now this one would be interesting to see if this one breaks when I do that. Okay, so I want to update routing, and this one will be easier. It's probably not actually easier, but it's just like easier for me to contemplate at the moment. Go to update route. I'm just going to do update 1. So if the problem that I run into in unit testing in the future, it'll be the same exact one. And it's not rows icon. Oh, okay. So I made it. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Table update icon. Okay, so this one should break now. I think, because I don't think I named it update icon. Am I not doing routing? This is weird. I thought it should go to, it says it went to the update route, but it's not sitting at the update route. And that's the last one. That's so weird. I don't understand why that one's not running. And it's showing that it passed. Oh, that's so odd. Okay, so when I clicked on it, that's cool though. I guess maybe it was showing the first one. I don't know, but yeah, this is right. And apparently that is the name of the icon. I did actually name it properly. Let's go back over here. Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. That's just good living. There used to be a saying when I was a kid. It was like, that's just good living. Like things just worked out for some people all the time. And it was like, well, and like one person might break down, right? There so that where I grew up, it was very desolate. So if you saw someone broken down, you needed to pull over and help them because they may not survive if you do not. Like it can get brutal out there in New Mexico in the desert. So you would see someone broken down, you pull over, of course you help them. And then if you were broken down, you would help them. I mean, someone would pull over and help you. I mean, if you drove by and just left people on the side of the road, everybody in the town would talk bad about you. They'd be like, "Oh my God, I was broken down on the side of the road, and they just drove by. They just left me." Um, so that just was not an appropriate thing to do. And sometimes you needed to like replace someone's tire, and it would all work out nice and easy. Like all of their crowbars are all in the right place. Their tire was nice and full. Everything worked. And then sometimes you'd go to replace someone's tire, and their spares are flat. They don't even have the crowbar. They lost their crowbar. They don't know where the crowbar is. Like that. Everything just working out because you set everything yourself up is what they would call good living. And this is just good living. Like I just went in here and just did all the right things, and now I have this icon. And so then that should make my other test easier too. Um, get the list of edit. So I'm going to change this to edit dash update spec. Okay, I'm just going to say update spec. So I named it edit. I wonder if I should name it update. Yeah, I think I'm going to name it update. I don't know. I may end up regretting that. I don't think so, though. I think that's going to be fine. Now, this will break. This will cause the UI over here to break. It does not like you renaming files. Oh, wow. No, it just handled it. The version I have at work does not just handle it. It actually breaks. All right, so we want to come into update, and then it's already going to the editor, and really the only thing that I wanted to check is, and this is so much cooler than the unit test because this actually is creating one. So now I am hard coding. Am I hard coding the one? I don't think I'm even hard coding the one. Yeah, I'm not even hard coding. And then we want to get CY. I can't even remember what it was called. Data CY table update icon. So I'm going to copy this. going to so basically I want to make sure that this exists. This table update icon, not the table viz icon. Just copy this. Copy that. And then say should. Oops. And it's so weird to just see like clearly exist or should be dot visible. I feel like I have tried end-to-end tests, and they've all been pretty good. Like I haven't, like, I've never found one where I was like, oh, this is awful. Like it's, like they're all good. No one's screwing around. They're all being very, very good. Okay, so that's good. But I think Cypress is by far, like literally 10 times better. Now, it could be that I'm running into a problem now that I'm just finally in a position to mentally deal with it. So maybe if I'd done some of the other ones, I don't even want to mention the other ones because I don't want to cast them in a bad shadow. Um, but I just think that this Cypress is 10 times better. Um, yeah. Yep. I definitely would love to sort of move into more of a QA mode. I feel like I'm very limited on, like, I'm kind of can't help uh, organizations move forward as well from this development position because I kind of get like laser focused on very low level stuff, which is absolutely important. But the problem is that I can't get the overall system through from the position I'm in. I can only make sure that my little part is working really well. And I feel like as a QA, I would be able to like be like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm gonna write a script for that. Okay, and then I could do that. And when I was working at QA for Turner Broadcasting, um, I was working for the overarching group, and there was a couple dozen projects underneath me, or not underneath me, but there were a couple dozen projects that were sort of um, individual entities, and so they would come up with like we'd go to these large uh, gathering meetings where like, okay, you're going to provide this token, you're going to get this, you're going to get blah 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 blah, and they would be like, okay, yeah, we agree, and then I would write all the tests to make sure it works. And you would have thought that the developers would fight me, but they never did. They were actually truly appreciative because they needed something. Like they would write the code and they'd be like, I think this does what it's supposed to do, but nothing is asking for it. And so then I would be like, I would write a test. I would say, okay, this is what we were expecting. This is what we got. And then something else might be consuming that. And they would literally come to me and say, okay, how does that work? And I would say, okay, see, this is what, and then they'd write their code against my tests to make sure it works. And since my tests were testing the outputs of one and the inputs and sort of defining what goes on the inputs, everything just went a lot smoother. Um, and I did get offered a position as a lead QA in that position, but I felt like at that time I felt like, oh no, I still have so much more to give as a developer. I don't want to be like kind of put out to pasture yet into the QA role, but now I feel like I could do so much more in the QA role. Um, Now everybody got fired from that job. Like nobody is working in that job anymore because AT&T bought or merged. I think bought Turner Broadcasting, and they just. I don't think there's a single person that was in that building that is still Like even up from the senior VPs all the way down to like the lowest level sort of um, janitor, I think, is gone. Like everybody's gone. Um, and anybody like any of like the even like the well not there was some of the personalities like the talent that is on TV and stuff, like some of them are still around, but they're in New York now, they're not in Atlanta anymore. But anyway, so this is the first time, right? This is a banner exciting moment in this application because we were able to do a whole task from end to end in one session. It was a simple task, but we didn't. This is the first simple task we've had too. Like, the task was just to handle this, and the next task is going to be to draw the whole visualization here. It's just going to say editors down here, but it'll have the single visualization completely drawn, stretched from end to end. And I don't know about zooming. I don't know. Like, I don't know if we go back to here, we click on this guy, if, and see how I already forgot kind of how all that works. Um, when we come here, um, it's kind of funny because it moves faster every time. Um, but like I don't know when we draw this and we go end to end. I'm hoping that we'll be closer. And then like the other thing is this shape is different, and that is important. Like um, when you give your visualization or your renderer, when you tell it to run, you actually one of the things you tell it is what the um, ratio between the height and the width is, and that is one here, but it is definitely not one. It's still one here, but it's definitely not one here. So if I do go end to end and all that, it's going to be sort of distorted. And so we'll have to do something in the code to fix that as well. So the renderer is going to have to be aware of what mode we're in, or maybe it needs to just some code needs to update what the ratio, the height to width ratio is of the of that. So anyways, so I don't know. I don't know how hard that or easy that task is going to be. That is definitely not something that I would give like that would be like the fifth task I would give like a junior developer. Um, like I like that task. That's a good task because it's like you don't have to worry about screwing up a bunch of other code and ending up, breaking all kinds of things. It is fairly limited because I think it'll pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know. That's going to be an interesting one. Um, so, anyways, so let's go ahead and just make sure everything. We don't see anything ridiculous in any of these. Now I'm just looking for style. I'm not digging in trying to find issues and I'm just making sure that it makes sense. Every file that we're changing kind of makes sense. It makes sense that we would add a new unit test in there. That's the only place we made changes. We added a type. I don't think there's any unit tests on that. We definitely added code for that, and yeah, when we're doing it, and I love this. I think this was a very, very excellent implementation, and I'm very happy that I didn't make it a ternary. Um, so, anyways, that's that. Let's go ahead and kill this. Git add dot. Git status. Git commit dash m. And then updates the layout icon for update / delete. I don't know if I could. I'm pretty sure I could put a slash in here. And then git push it real good. out there. Like I said, tomorrow I'm pleased as punch that we actually got a full unit of work done in a single session. Um, Tomorrow, I definitely want to start working on showing the correct visualization in edit mode and showing it properly. And hopefully showing it big. I'm pretty sure I don't have to do anything to make it like appropriately sized. I think ThreeJS handles that. Um, because what I'm a little afraid of is that it'll just be like this size, sort of jammed up in there. And I definitely am. Now, one thing I would definitely, if I was working with juniors and stuff right now, um, I would definitely try to get this double click working. It seems like that should be straightforward. Double click. Now, whether you want to handle that, you probably want to like sort of have like an output, an emitter that emits whether it's been double clicked or the ID that's been double clicked, and whether you want to do it with signals or whether you want to do it with some other mechanism like emitting directly from the component. All that stuff, is up for debate. But obviously, it would be easy enough to then update the route properly based on however you decide to do it, decide to do that. But that would be very doable. And that is a very junior thing. It's something we could probably just get done tomorrow. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But I would rather work on actually showing it right. Eventually, I can already tell that I'm going to get annoyed by not being able to just do that and go into it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if after I get it to display, I go, okay, I have to do this now. But here we go. It's going well. Hopefully by the end of the year, you can at least change one attribute. And I don't know what that attribute should be, but, at least one attribute would be very, very cool. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.